Hello, Sajith. Thank you for coming and please sit down. Crowd there was here on the whole board. Unfortunately, by the time. Oh, thank you. Flowers are my best friend. I used to have a 15-acre garden on my estate in the old days, but no, can't maintain it any longer.
Come sit. So how are you keeping?
Not too bad for my age, 96. But now I have been suddenly feeling till about a year or two ago, I didn't feel old age creeping on me.
Right.
But now I've begun to feel old age is beginning to creep on me. So we have
So you keep yourself busy.
fairly, I do a
Observing
certain amount of
economic
reading.
development.
Certain amount of reading. I'm still interested in everything happening in this country and in the world at large also,
Right.
particularly the economic side.
Right.
And so all that keeps me busy. I've been watching your progress since you came back from abroad with great interest because we need leaders now. Very bad. Very bad. The country needs leaders. And I'm happy that at least there are two people like you who can bring leadership to the country in the future also. I'm very happy that some people are still there
Well,
despite
we are now a new political movement. The Samagicana Balave.
yeah, I have heard about it, I have read some things, but I don't know much about it.
Right. So we basically follow a centrist middle of the path approach.
That's good for this country.
Yeah. And if we talk in theoretical terms, we are neither extreme conservative nor are we neoliberal. We take the pluses and the virtues of both. And
Of course, for a poor country like Sri Lanka, I have one thing more. You have to be a little bit on the side of the poor. All the time. All the time. So you have to be, whether you like it or not, a little bit socialist in your approach, without being theoretical.
sometimes
Without being theoretical.
sometimes I'm accused of being too much on the side of poor. And
No,
not
you-
looking at the other classes adequate.
You will never, if you do a little bit more on that side than on the other side, go the other side is also important to build up the economy of the country.
So we have basically done a segmentation of Sri Lankan society from the grassroots and the poorest of the poor right up to the economic and social elite. And we have identified the pyramid, the various strata, and we apply our democratic, socialist and capitalistic principles. Capitalism with a human face.
No harm done.
And we are formulating a new approach, and we are getting experts and specialists and professionals more and more involved in our policy formulation process, so that the policies and policy substance is sound and that it is very much in line with modern thinking and very much relevant to the challenges that we face, especially in a domestic and international environment dominated by COVID. So, on the one hand, we have a people-friendly economic policy, and also on the political front, we follow a very authentic patriotic process, which entails multi-ethnicity, multicultural, multilingual approach to social policy and domestic policy. While giving priority to single Buddhists, we take care of all other sectors of society, irrespective of caste, creed, ethnicity, or religious persuasion.
Okay.
Long life and your advice and your knowledge and expertise is very valuable and indispensable for our country. I think if we examine your tenure as the finance minister, you could say it was the most successful time period in terms of directing financial policy, economic policy.
I'm happy that people still appreciate what I did.
Of course. I think
Because we had Ranil Vikramsinghe and a whole crowd of people who were part and parcel, mainly of the old UNP, here about 9 o'clock this morning, and they too seem to be appreciative of everything that is happening as a result of the policies which we started in 1977.
well, of course, we had a closed economy, a command and controlled economy, and we freed up the country. And the stimulus and the vitality that it created blossomed from day one. And we had huge achievements in terms of economic growth. And now we should think more about shared prosperity and equitable growth.
You are quite right.
Growth that results in
Without that, we can't progress in Sri Lanka.
we have to have
Equitable growth is the key to success.
and free and fair distribution of income and wealth.
Oh, definitely.
So we are very much
That
concerned
was
about
my policy also, as you know.
Of course.
We completely changed the whole policies of the UNP. Completely changed. So much so that some people thought that we were going too far left. It was not a question of going left. It was only going with the people.
going with the people and do what is right.
Right.
So just to summarize, we don't believe in trickle-down economics.
No,
We
that-
don't believe in percolating just the top, strengthening the top and wealth and resources percolating down to other levels and other strata. We believe in providing everyone an equal opportunity, a level playing field, so that those who are with capabilities, those who are with strength, dedication, innovation, those who are hardworking, those who are capable, that they have an opportunity to go on a constructive path of progress. So
From the time you came back, I have been watching your career very closely, as I did even earlier. I think the only hope for Sri Lanka to make a comeback, I may be using the wrong word, but I think you know the meaning. For Sri Lanka to make a comeback is if you can get the whole thing going under your control and the control of policies that you represent. That's the only hope for Sri Lanka. I will tell that openly to anybody. I have already told so many people that the only hope for Sri Lanka, really Sri Lanka is in a dire situation. Let us admit it. just because things were done very properly in the old days and the foundations were good, we have still been able to exist. But I am very fearful at times about what will happen in this entire part of the world, because number of governments in this part of the world seem to be messing up some of their policies, and as a result, this part of the world is getting into an unnecessary tangle sort of thing, from which I hope you will be able to save Sri Lanka. I have been watching some of your utterances and speeches and this and that. So I'm not trying to flatter you. I don't flatter people. That's never been my hobby. It was not necessary for me to flatter anybody to get where I got. But I always feel that just at the moment, you are the only hope for Sri Lanka.
Dysfunctionalism is dominating the corridors of government. Dysfunctionalism. And ideological bankruptcy is basically the order of the day. I think many in Sri Lanka were totally and utterly fooled by the aura that was associated with the other side, especially during the presidential elections. I think the disingenuous hoax that was created during the presidential campaign has come to roost. And today people see the reality. And the reality is we have incapability, incompetency, irrationality dominating the governmental process. And today we have a classic case of crony capitalism in our country. Crony capitalism that is dominating the agenda. The power is given to those with financial resources, especially multinational actors and a few local conglomerates. They are dominating the economic agenda, whereas the just thing and the fair thing would be to have an equitable level playing field for all Sri Lankans. And we in the SJB intend on creating it.
It's a tragedy because Sri Lanka was one of the few countries.
I'm more interested in having the conversation.
One of the few countries in the third world that were able to get out of the depression of 1933 and the surge of new independence in a large number of countries in Asia and in Africa and all these places. It was one of the few countries, due to the policies of the Jayawar government of that period, that was able to escape some of the vicious nature sectors of the new economy that was being created in some parts. We escaped. That was, I think God saved this country. We did not get into the same mess as so many countries did, trying to follow new policies. We escaped due to many factors. And still, so the whole world situation looks hopeless. I'll be very frank. The world situation to me looks hopeless. Just at the moment. Sri Lanka is one country that can still escape getting embroiled in the total mess that exists in the world today. Due to very good policies we pursued from the time of Mr. Jayawar onwards. So I think I was watching the situation a little carefully in the last few months. I think I'm not trying to flatter you. You're our only hope at the moment. You are our only hope at the moment. I can't see anybody else just at the moment who can do this and save Sri Lanka from the total mess that it will come into if it does not reform its ways and its approach to life and approach to things in a third world country with the problems of Sri Lanka.
I think COVID-19 has presented our country with a new set of challenges.
I know.
Those are not traditional challenges.
Yeah.
These are out of the framework challenges. And in order to face those challenges and surmount the various obstacles that are in our path, we have to be innovative and new initiative based in our thinking. And SJB with our current set of members of parliament, financial specialists such as Dr. Harsha De Silva and the rest, we have a very capable set of professionals, a mixture of seniors and you have a bunch of youthful exuberance that is combining its forces to develop and initiate and formulate a new economic and policy agenda for Sri Lanka. And to do that, we will obviously approach it in a very, very modernistic, innovative, technical, scientific manner. Look at all the case studies of countries that have been success stories in times of COVID. Take countries such as New Zealand, Taiwan. They have excelled in managing the situation and preserving the basic tenets of their policies and principles. And those are astounding and excellent examples for us to follow suit. But of course, while overseas case studies are good lessons, we have to have our own model. We have to have our own unique approach. And we at Samagijana Balavega feel that we have the requisite tools and instruments, the intellectual capacity, the knowledge, the expertise, and the wherewithal to formulate policy, and not only formulate policy, to implement it in a time-targeted manner. That is most important. Policy formulation alone would not suffice. Policy implementation, evaluation and monitoring, feedback, and continuous monitoring. So that's a part where Sri Lanka has been lacking in recent times. We have to monitor, we have to ensure that the tasks that we talk about are achieved, that the objectives are achieved. So the dysfunctionalism has creeped in because of the huge divergence in declaration and declaratory policy and action policy. It's a huge gap. There's a huge divergence. So when you have that, you have what you call policy gridlock. You have policy gridlock and policy paralysis. So Sri Lanka is suffering from policy gridlock and policy paralysis. In fact, the whole governmental structure is totally paralyzed. And the central nervous system of the government is dysfunctional. So when you have your central nervous system dysfunctional, there is lack of coordination. So we need a very comprehensive approach, and I think Samagijana Balavega, SJB, brings in novel ideas and novel concepts which are in tune with the wishes and the expectations of the people of the country.
No, I'm quite happy with the way we have been functioning with the Samagijana Balavega. In fact, I have told that the only salvation for Sri Lanka, I'm not trying to flatter you or your party, the only salvation for Sri Lanka to get out of the total political, psychological and all-round mess that it is in today is the සමන්ජනව බලවේගය adopting policies that really fit the people of this country at this period in the development of the country. But the country is going through, in my opinion, one of its worst periods of economic development in the last 10 or 15 years. It's going through one of its worst periods. I haven't seen any salvation. I'm not trying to flatter you. Till you came on the scene. They have been good people, but they have not been able to measure up to the challenge. It's a vast challenge. It's a very big challenge. I think, in my opinion, Sri Lanka faces one of its worst economic and political crises in its recent history. One of its worst. And only some type of dynamic new policies and new approaches to life and things, and new approaches to human beings is absolutely necessary to get things right. Almost a total break with the past.
Honorable Minister, now we have seen in the past, especially in the previous administration, I'm talking of the Myanmar administration, we saw glorification of statistics and numbers in terms of economic growth. But if you look at who has shared those fruits of prosperity, it is extremely skewed. For example, 54% of national income is enjoyed by the richest 20%, whereas the poorest 20% had a share of 4.5%. Here I think I'm referring to figures in 2015, 2016, and now they have become worse.
I didn't know it was so bad.
Very bad. I mean, he will testify to those stats. Dr. Harsha Silva is also here with me. The distribution of income and wealth has been quite scary. The gap between the haves and the have-nots have increased. So when you have that, you will have the have-nots rebelling against the system because of the systemic crisis that has been developed because of the short-sighted policies. So here in our country, we don't have long-term policies. We have chopping and changing whenever administrations change. And right now, we are all experiencing a period of incompetent government.
Good.
Absolute incompetence. I think never in our democratic history have we seen such a dysfunctional, uncoordinated government. I think the government itself has various power centers, and there's an internal power struggle. I don't think they are satisfied with presidential and parliamentary election victories. They are having another power struggle while the country languishes, while the country goes to the doldrums. So we in SJB, we will take the bull by the horns. We will take up the challenge. We will address all these issues, and we are very, very confident about our ability to address these problems and save Sri Lanka.
We have to be very bold in this new approach. We took a very, very bold new approach in 1977. We broke completely with the past. With the 1947 to 77 period, we broke completely with the past, with the new economy in 1977. And it had its ups and downs. Certain periods when it was implemented well, other periods where it was implemented badly. But it saved the country in 1977. we had not been introduced those new policies in 1977, this country would have been one of the worst economies in the whole of Asia. But it never happened. We managed to tide over the crisis and save the situation. But I'm not very happy with the way things are happening today. It was going fairly well for about 20 years after 77. But I'm not at all happy with the way things are. Because I have nothing against the Rajapaksas, but they are out of their depth in a situation like this. They cannot tackle these issues. Till they are there will be no change in the entire approach in Sri Lanka. Just as much as we completely changed the country in 1977, completely. And most people thought that we would end up in total chaos. But that didn't happen. We really became, if not for this trouble in the north and the recent stagnation in the last 4 or 5 years, we would have been one of the really developing countries of Asia. Like we say, from 1977 till about 10 years, we really developed for about 10 years. After that period, it has gone back into total non-growth.
The curve has flattened.
Yeah.
In fact, we have a negative growth.
Yeah. And the trouble is that most people don't realize. Certainly the rulers don't realize. If they realize anything. They really don't realize it. They don't know anything about it. They don't know how to settle it. If and when you come to power, I have great hopes that you will come to power soon. If and when you come to power, you have to make certain radical changes as we did in 77. Most people thought that the country would collapse with the changes that we brought in 77. When the other way it did collapse. If you are really strong country in Asia, it had not been till 77. So now, for the last 4 or 5 years, not 4 or 5 years, I think from the time that the Rajapaksas came to power, the country has been going down. Nobody has realized it in the euphoria of the end of the war in the north and things like that. Nobody has realized it. The normal man has realized it. But I see, unless you put things right soon, shall we say in the next 5 years, I see almost total correction.
I'm sure we will have a kind of an economic volcanic eruption of the fact that we are never hesitant to take bold initiatives.
That's very good, you must.
Yes, and we are not going to be confined to a particular framework. Certainly in any governmental system you have your ups and downs. It is cyclical, as with economies and economics. But we have initiated and formulated a novel approach, a modern approach, and more important, we are going to bring in meritocracy into our system rather than having aristocracy.
Very good if you can do it.
Yes.
It's high time we got rid of all our old ideas with regard to social systems. Our entire social system needs a very big change. We brought about a very big change in 77, but that process did not continue after 10 years, after the first 10 years stability. And with the Rajapaksas, the whole country has, I won't use the phrase, gone into total ruin, because you can't ruin a country so quickly, a country that certain people have struggled for many, many years, and certain countries have struggled, certain governments have struggled for many, many years to bring up. You can't suddenly make it crash. But certainly we have fallen by the wayside. We are no longer going forward. We are either stagnant or going backwards. We are no longer going forward. Particularly, the Rajapaksas are people, I have nothing against them, but they are totally oblivious to everything that has happened so far as the economy of the country is concerned, and above all the economic approach that we should follow. I think a radical change is necessary, like in 1977. And you are the only person who is capable of bringing about the change. Nobody else can.
Thank you so much.
Nobody else can.
Honourable Minister, if I'm not troubling you too much, I don't want to intrude into your timetable, but Samagi Janapalawege would most welcome your noble counsel. You're a person with vast experience as a Minister of Finance. You geared this country to prosperity. At that time, it was in the doldrums.
It was in the doldrums, completely. You are worse than now.
Yes, you with your skills and capabilities.
I also had some very good people in this.
Of course.
Your father, Kamini, Lalit, we had some good people.
Exactly.
And Jayawar was a good leader.
Of course. We would most welcome your counsel and your advice at times which are convenient to you. We would like to continue the dialogue, continue this exchange of ideas, especially in the economic arena, where we have to look anew, as you quite rightly mentioned, a radical change, a path-breaking change, a break with the past, getting rid of the crony capitalist tendencies in our country, and ensure that there is responsibility and accountability in our processes. And I think bringing in a system of meritocracy will serve our country very well.
Oh yes, if you can, bring in meritocracy in this country, there are some factors which retard bringing in any type of meritocracy in this country. And I am sorry to say, one of the things that go against this whole idea of meritocracy, in fact, totally ignorant of this whole idea of meritocracy, is the Buddhist approach to certain things in the economic sector. Because meritocracy has never been a part of Buddhism. Has it? I don't think so. Buddha and his philosophies were meant for another age and another time. They are all-time philosophies, they last forever, and they are the most logical philosophies that have evolved through any religious system in the world, the most logical, but they have been completely, I won't say completely, they have been tainted in the last few years, in a big way. There has been a worship of money, worship of capitalism. That won't do. This country can't just worship capitalism and solve its problems. certain capitalistic ideas and systems are very important. We adopt them in Sadhism also. But they must be rationalized by bringing in the other type of ideas which bring in a sense of fair play into the life of the country. Today it's a worship of money. If you have money, you are a great man. In a way that it was not so bad even in 1977 before we reformed the system. It was not so bad. Now there is a worship of money. Money by hook or by crook. That won't do. You have to completely divorce yourself from that type of ideas and go back to a system of what I would call Buddhist socialism.
Lord Buddha's preachings, kindness, sympathy, empathy, equity, justice, fairness.
Oh, definitely.
All those principles are
Embodied
within the Buddhist philosophy.
Much more than any other religion.
What I see is not a fault of Buddhist philosophy. What I see is a basic fault in the practitioners.
That, of course.
The
I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the philosophy is warped,
Yeah.
but I don't want to go beyond that.
Yeah.
I think Buddhist philosophy teaches us a lot
Oh, definitely.
to be human,
Yeah, but
to be kind,
yeah.
and to be just and fair. And as you quite rightly said, we have to bring in the socialist thinking, the redistributive thinking into the human
basic
capitalism.
Buddhist philosophical background of the country.
Right. So it has to be a mixture of capitalism and socialism.
Yes,
and
yes,
have
In the
capitalism
modern
human
world, you
face.
can't have a completely communist state. This kind of
It has
question.
proven to be a failure.
Yes.
So the command system, the socialist system per se, is not a prescription for the ills of our country.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned to you before, we are going on a middle of the path approach, taking the attributes of liberalism, conservatism, socialism, and all other ideologies,
Quite right.
and try to take the attributes, mobilize them and coalesce them, and have a Sri Lankan ideology, an ideology that is dominated by justice, fairness, wealth creation, giving a good, just and fair playing field for entrepreneurial skills to blossom, bringing new technology. This is a new information age. We have to move into robotics, mechanization, new information technology tools as instruments of state and private policy. So there are a plethora of areas which can be utilized, a plethora of policy instruments, modern day policy instruments that can be utilized to bring our country out of the doldrums. And we value your advice, we value your observations, and we value your input, policy input into the SJB. And if you do have some time available, I want you to be very comfortable. And when you are in a position of comfort, please let us know. We would like to come for a longer time period and have a thorough intellectual discussion, a discourse that would...
Anytime, I am at your disposal as long as I can continue to think in the same way I have been able to think for the last 96 years. I'm in my 96th year now.
We wish you good health. And we wish you long life.
Normally people go completely loony after about 80. 90 is probably the maximum. But I am still able to retain a certain sense of balance, of fair play, of justice and all that type of thing. So I'm 96 years old.
I think from the very short conversation that I had with you, I think you have come up with a lot of sound and practical ideas. It may be worthwhile passing on some of this advice to the present government. At least the people of the country will benefit. So do try to provide your counsel.
As long as I am fit and able to do so, I don't know how long I'll be fit in the same way. As long as I am fit and able to do so, I am totally at your disposal, because I have been feeling for some time that you are the only person at the top of our financial system, of our political system, who can, if at all, put this country. This country has really all the possibilities in the world. For the last 10 years have been a total mess. Total mess. Last 10 years at least, it was like total mess.
And Honourable Minister, it is soon becoming a cataclysmic disaster for our country.
Oh, definitely.
And we have to save our country from the economic devastation that may take place. Economic, political and social devastation.
No, I don't think there will be a long time for all that to take place. I think our country has come to a sort of crisis point. Unless some big changes are brought about in the next 3 to 5 years, I think we'll collapse almost totally and be a tool of the World Bank or something like that.
So I don't want to take too much of your time.
No, thank you very much for coming.
My mind was enriched by this conversation, and I will come and visit you, and
I'm available.
you will have Dr. Harsha Disil also coming and seeing you on many more occasions.
I have met this gentleman now.
He is one of our financial gurus.
Yes, I have heard about him.
Yes, Jamie.
I have come and seen you, you have forgotten. Some time back I did come to see you.
When was that?
That could have been maybe 5-6 years ago, perhaps.
You were a typical realpolitik
Yeah.
politician.
No, I was
You
a-
lived in reality.
That's quite right. That's quite right.
And you were very
I spent more of my time with the people than probably any politician except your father. Your father also kept in touch with the people all the time. Probably I was the only other politician at that time who kept in touch with the people all the time.
You all know
I
how
could-
much work you did to Devinur electorate.
Yeah,
And
not only
Margaret.
Devinur, the whole country.
All
No?
of them,
Jaffna, I have done more for Jaffna than most of the members of the Federal Party. And they admitted it. Sivasitam from Amita Lingam, they admitted it. When I went on a personal visit to Jaffna with my wife and with my child, who was then about 3 years old, because she wanted to swim in the sea, I was welcomed by Amita Lingam, Sivasitam and the whole crowd at a time when they were fighting the government here. They looked after me right through my 5-day stay or 6-day stay.
So, Honourable Minister, last but not least, I want to wish you all the very best on
Thank you very much.
on your 96th birthday, and
Thank you.
I wish you good health and long life.
Thank you very much.
May you continue to counsel all of us with your policy analyses and policy prescriptions, which will be most revered, especially at this critical juncture in our political history.
Very
And
good.
Samagi Janavaraya as a party will continue to seek your advice and good counsel.
Thank you very much.
In mapping out the
I
political
will give you all the good counsel that is necessary.
Thank you.
But as a completely non-party, non-political man.
Sure.
I am no longer officially I'm still a member of the UNP, but I am no longer an active member of the UNP. nor am I a member of any other party. I am only for the country. I have always been a person like that, you know. Even my change of parties from the SLP, from the left to the UNP was basically that. My only party is the people, has always been.
So lovely to have had the opportunity of seeing you, and I wish you well.
Thank you
And I
very
wish you
much.
long
Thank
life.
you. Thank you. Anytime I am at your disposal because I know, still I know additional practical politics. I know who is a possibility of a coming man.
We are really happy that you said it.
Possibility
You will
of a
not-
coming man.
I heard every word you said, sir.
I'm not saying that it's guaranteed,
Yeah, no, but
there
we
is a
have,
possibility of a coming man.
that is our
I
responsibility.
wish you all the
Thank you,
best.
thank you very much.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best. Thank you very much. If there's anything, you just call me. As long as I am fit and well, you will have the benefit of me. Advice I can give you.
Thank you, sir. The Allah make a move. Thank you so much. Medicine. I just finished writing my exam this morning. I'm doing a master's. Master's in what? Environmental economics. I'm sorry, environmental science.